What is going on, guys? It's your boy Kwiopai, and today I want to talk about manga. I was originally just going to go on a quick talk about some of the fantastic manga that I've been reading lately, but there seems to be a lot of people, especially younger ones in the anime community, that seem to write off manga completely and refuse to read it because they would rather just watch the anime. So, in today's video, I'll be talking to you about why you should read manga, and then in a video immediately following this one, hopefully in the next couple days, I'll be listing a few manga that you might like to get started on, all of which have no current anime adaptation. I think a lot of this avoidance of manga comes down to a couple reasons. One being that anime is far more known about in the West, with many outside and new to the community not really knowing a whole lot about manga. Another is that a lot of manga nowadays get adapted into anime, meaning that most people new to the community will hear about and watch the anime first before ever learning about the manga, and then will really have no desire to go back and read the same story that they've already watched. A third major contributor is that it's much harder to read manga than it is to watch anime, with none of the popular legal anime streaming sites having a decent collection of online manga, leaving only real two options, being pirating online scans or buying physical books. And someone who's just getting into manga is not going to be willing to buy physical books if they don't know it's what they actually like. And then even then, once you do find a manga, it's missing some of the things that make anime great, such as voice acting, sound effects, color, music, motion, and maybe some other things I'm not remembering. Couple that with most of the popular series, especially with younger viewers, being action-oriented, where looking at still frames of a fight can be boring when compared to watching it in audio or in motion. If you're one of the people who thinks that these points are valid and that's why you don't read manga, I can't really argue with you because I kind of agree. But there are some major advantages to reading manga that many don't consider, and that's what I'm here to lay out. But before I go into why you should read manga, I really should go over how you should read manga. I'm gonna be honest, pirating is the best way to go at this point. Buying physical books is expensive and requires you to have space to store them, and places like Crunchyroll Manga and its competitors are jokes with how little they offer. Like, really, take this example. How are you supposed to get into a new series if you don't have any of, you're missing 200 chapters, at any given time? How are you supposed to read it? I'm not going to name drop any illegal pirating sites, just in case it would negatively affect me in the future, but hopefully someone in the comments will, enlighten you if you need help. Or you go on Reddit or something, I don't give a fuck. Or you could always just type in the name of the manga into Google and be like, whatever it is, read, or chapter, whatever, for whatever given manga. With that out of the way, why read manga in the first place when anime can offer so much more? Well, I have a couple main reasons. Reason 1, reading manga takes much less time than watching anime. Your average anime seems to be adapted at about 1.5 to 3 chapters an episode, and chapters generally consist of 15 to 60 pages, with most being around 20 to 25 pages. Even if you're extremely slow at reading, I'm sure you can manage a pace faster than a page every 30 seconds, which would put you about equal terms with anime. For the most part, I find myself reading about a chapter every 5 minutes or so, which is a pace of about a page every 15 seconds. For a more concrete example, let's take a series such as Naruto, which has fairly average pacing. Naruto has about 700 chapters, meaning it would take around 60 hours to read it all, given my pace. Naruto has around 420, and no, that is not a joke, episodes, excluding all filler. Now, let's say that each episode is around 15 minutes of new content. That's cutting out all openings, endings, title cards, and recaps quite generously. This puts it about 105 hours, which is an extra 45 hours over reading the manga, which is a long fucking time. If you're, let's say, watching 3 episodes a day for an hour, that's an extra, 2 months of watching. And if you put him at 19 minutes instead, which a lot of people consider the standard length for an episode, which is just cutting 3 minutes out for the opening and ending of the normal 22-minute episode, you get a whopping 133 hours, which is well more than double the time it takes to read the manga. That being said, there are slow and fast readers, and there are differently paced anime, but overall, manga is definitely faster than watching anime. Reason number 2. Manga is something that can be consumed in shorter spurts and in varying places, which kind of loops back to part 1 as you can get through it faster. Most anime fans wouldn't dare watch a show while in public, like on a bus or at school or at work, but the beauty of manga is that for the most part it can be consumed anywhere with much less stigma. If you're watching anime, it's going to be hard to explain what you're doing if you're kind of like in the closet about watching anime, but if you're reading manga, it's a lot easier. When someone asks you what you're doing, you can tell them that you're reading. This is going to turn off 70% of people because they don't give a fuck about reading. The only people who are going to pry further are people who like books, and they're probably going to ask you what you're reading, wherein you can just flash the page for a second and say you're reading a comic book, and they'll probably not give a fuck and leave. This is a foolproof plan that's worked for me many times, and I guarantee it'll work. Plus, there's no chance of, let's say, like slipping headphones and some fucking crazy Japanese shit comes out and everyone looks at you. Most importantly, with chapters being able to be read in, let's say, 3 to 10 minutes, it's much easier to start and stop. I don't know about you guys, but I really hate pausing an episode halfway through, so if I know I'm going to watch an episode of anime, I'll make sure that I have, like a 30 minutes time period, so that I can sit down, pull it up, watch it, and then, turn it off. Whereas in manga, if I'm fucking on the toilet, or, if I just have, like 10 minutes to spare, I know I can pull it out and read a chapter. My third and final point is a extremely obvious one. There's some fantastic manga with amazing art and stories that have not, and maybe never will be adapted into an anime. One example is Berserk, which has only had its first arc adapted into anime, and I assure you that it has not had any other arc adapted into anime. Do not look into that. Well, that's about it for this video. I know it's kind of short, but I really didn't think that I was going to talk about this, but as I was writing my script for my other video, I was like, some people might not give a fuck and they might not want to actually read the manga, so I thought I'd put this one out first. Next time I'm going to be talking about some fantastic manga that I think you guys would like, so I hope you look forward to that video. Kwaio Pai out.